What do you want from me? Blocka. Let's like switch gears a little bit in the last bit. Can we talk about like hackers? Can we talk about modern day hackers and like the being a rebel in the world right now? What do you think about preppers? Smart based preppers. Oh yeah, we got the based preppers. We got preppers. They're based, right? We love the preppers. We love the preppers. But can I say something? They may not make it. They may not make it. The prepper's always prepping. I should get to know when I know. I'm a prepper. We love you, Gizmo. Now, maybe I'm not talking about you. Maybe I'm not talking about you, the preppers in my chat. Prepping is smart, but you can never cover all your bases. I ain't preppy. Unless you're rich. Serrano preppers. Okay, come on. That's hilarious. Let me just take it as the word. As the word. Prepper. I would think the preppers, they would change with the times, right? They evolved. Why? Because in my mind, I also have maybe no, I don't know if it's a pejorative, but in my mind, I have an image of a prepper. They got food, and they got flannels, maybe a bunker. They got off-the-grid type mentality, off-the-grid technology type stuff, off-the-grid skills. Should it all collapse? Now, tell me if I'm crazy. I think the preppers are not going to make it. That's not like the world, the incoming world. I don't see it like that, dude. What do you guys think? That's just sci-fi. It's just all going to collapse, and it's like, it's going to be an infection. It'll be like COVID times a million. It's going to be like The Walking Dead, but like without zombies. Or maybe it'll even be with zombies. You never know. And I was, I remember I had like a month where I was fascinated with the end of the world. I don't know what it was. It was like Shark Week. You know how they have Shark Week on what, Discovery Channel? And they just do sharks. They just cover sharks. And it, like, has it ever happened? And it's kind of it's a pretty rare thing. Like, society doesn't collapse even after war, famine, world wars. Like, you still go to work. Yeah, some horrible things happen. Yeah, maybe you go through horrible things. Maybe society turns into something you never thought it would, but it still marches along. And you still got to pay your bills. You got to find somewhere to rest. You got to eat. And the prepper in my mind is not going to make it. Look, there's no one overthrowing these governments. I don't feel scared of that. That doesn't make me feared. Everything I read about from Jesus and all that, he's not talking about overthrowing the government. The Bible says to obey authority. It says that all authority in Romans, right? It talks about how all authority is from God. Do you want to be free from from fear of the one in authority? Then just live right. That's what the Bible says. They're gonna put the cameras everywhere. It's like the preppers are like an uncontacted tribe. It's just a matter of time, and you're really just allowed to exist. Uncontacted tribes, you're just allowed to exist. Are the preppers evolving? Are they like learning packet injection? You know what I mean? I disavow packet injection. I'm going too cyberpunk with it, but the preppers got to know how to packet inject, how to hack into Wi-Fi's, even if they're banned. Flipper Zero. You know about the Flipper Zero by now, right? I've told you about it. It's a cool little device. A lot of tech packed into it. Did they take them off Amazon? Flipper Zero. So yeah, wondering if you could still get one, but it's a cool little thing. You see, there's a lot, the world around us, what people don't realize. Here's what people don't realize. The world we live in, the world around us is not as secure as you think. It's actually far from it. You think 911 is just a call away. It's true, but the reality is, when you look at funding, when you look at recidivism, when you look at what types of murders, for example, don't get solved, because usually murders is like passionate, it's someone you know. But if there's like no connection, the police literally have very, very little recourse to random violence, for example, random terrorism. Violence, what it comes down to is speed and motivation. And if someone has it, very little you could do to plan for it. And so that being said, on the violence and all that, I also mean that about the world around us in terms of security, in terms of just simple locks, mentalities. For example, if you wore a high visibility vest, if I wore a high visibility vest, you know how many places I can get into with the right attitude, with the right mentality, and if I just wore one of these and maybe some other accoutrements. This is what I mean about the world not being as secure as you think. And speaking on 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𔔔 and hacking and all that, that's what the modern prepper is. There was this conference, it was like this little underground conference of people interested in, and they had a term for it, and it has to do with basically white hat hacking. It's not exactly white hat hacking, but it has to do with like breaking the world around you. But there's like literally a key you could buy on eBay. And this be low-tech hacking, exactly. This key opens up like so many security boxes. Or for example, it opens up like the most common apartment buzzer, entrance buzzing system in the world. Certain industries, certain technologies become industry standard. And so you get if there's only 2 or 3 companies that make these security boxes and they all have the same key, and these keys got copied so much you can find them on eBay, and you know that this wire, you know what I mean, opens up these, now you got access to an insane amount of apartment buildings in America. Some of those people messing with public monitors like at a McDonald's, they're actually using the universal remote function in the 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔, and that's like really, really low tech. Like, anyway, you could buy a universal remote. They've been around forever. It's like infrared. I forget what it is. It's a public, it's standardized language. But there's other things you could do with it. There's some pretty cool things you could do with it, especially with the Wi-Fi stuff. Now, when all of us get banned from the American Wi-Fi, the American United Wi-Fi, or the globalist Wi-Fi for saying we love. We love Jesse Lee Peterson. Once we get banned on the global internet for that reason, we're gonna need a no packet injection. You might want to have a 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔, because you're gonna need the internet to buy food. Cancelled for uniting the races with truth. It's called pen testing. That's what you call it. Pen testing. Penetration testing. Security exercises, basically. It's how you get into cybersecurity and other security industries. Pen testing. And pen testing, I found the video, folks. I found it.
It's my thought that John's actual plan was just to bring us all here, his most elite friends who travel the world and have no service in a place like this, so we have to use an open Wi-Fi network. He's just poning us all as we speak. I run a covert entry team, Robert, Bobek, and our crew of hooligans in places we shouldn't be. But the funny thing, people kind of romanticize this notion, like, yes, our ops division does very dynamic door kicker stuff, but for this one scene here, and this was a photo shoot when an article came out about what we do, they were like, oh yeah, get some picks in your hands, right? And so like, I'm here picking a door. Now, everyone has said to me, I'm known as this lock picker, and like maybe I've taught some of you about lock picking. If you've ever seen like any of these animations that Tool has.
We all know how to lock pick, yes? Come on, that's easy.
You at a door at 2 in the morning with those picks out, I wish I could do that and get paid. Which, again, like, sure, that's fun, and I have picked locks to get into secured spaces. But this shit here, manipulating the pins with, like, pick tools, it's something like the 9th thing on the list of stuff we try to get into buildings. And this whole talk is not, this is like the last lock-picking slide in the talk, because this is not a lock-picking talk. But I gotta stop this illusion. How many times do you pick a door? And you're like, you don't really pick doors. This shit is great. That's not what we do. So let's talk about how physical pen testers actually get into buildings, how real covert entry tends to work, and how you fix almost all of it. Dumb shit, right? Like right off the bat. I've legit knocked hinge pins out of doors. You just bang a hinge pin out, walk the door. I don't care how many locks are on the door. If you can walk that door away from the frame, walk in. This is a thing that you can do with like a nail or a nice little orange tool so you don't bust up your fingers. But again, like all these locks in the door.
2077 prepper skills, huh? How is it? I don't do any, I'm not a criminal. So, how am I the fear of the one in authority if I do right? Doesn't the Bible say that? Anyways.